Here we've got another free fall question where we're taking a rock and we're throwing it downwards with an initial velocity of 8.0 meters per second. Now we're going to say down is negative. So my initial velocity is negative 8.0 meters per second. They want to know what the final velocity is. What is the velocity of the rock 1.5 seconds later? So we're trying to figure out what V final is after 1.5 seconds. Now anything that's moving through the air under the influence of gravity will experience an acceleration of negative 9.8 meters per second squared. Now, in other words, this object's velocity is going to change by negative 9.8 meters per second every second. Now, sometimes it helps to get an idea of what this answer might be. Let's round off gravity to roughly negative 10. Every second, his velocity is going to change by negative 10 meters per second. So if my initial speed, if I throw the object initially downward at negative 8 meters per second, 1 second later, his velocity is going to change by negative 10. So it's going to add a negative 10 meters per second every second. So 1 second later, this object should be going negative 18 meters per second, quite a bit faster. 2 seconds later, I'd add another negative 10. So he'd be going negative 28 meters per second if he went the full 2 seconds later. But he's somewhere in the middle of this. So somewhere between negative 18 and negative 28 should be my answer. So let's use our equation. We're trying to find V final. V final is V initial plus acceleration times time. Again, check your units. Everything's in meters per second and seconds, so it all matches up. So here I've got an initial velocity of negative 8 meters per second plus negative 9.8 meters per second squared times 1.5 seconds. Negative 8 plus negative, and 9.8 times 1.5 gives me a value of, I'll give you an exact value, just give me 1 second. 9.8 times 1.5 14.7. Negative 14.7. And negative 8 plus negative 14.7 is negative 22.7, and that will be meters per second for V final. Now we interpret the negative as being down, and we're going to round off to 2 significant figures because that's what we started with. So my final velocity will be 23 meters per second down.